adventure! Halloween is tomorrow, and I thought what's a better day to record a video about which books to read this autumn than today, 30th of October. Yes, got a bit lost there. But yesterday I actually wrote a blog post, which I can show quickly here. About which books to read. So if you are more interested to read the blog post, you are free to do so, and I will link it down in the video below. So I'll make myself bigger again. Today, let's start. First of all, I'd like to mention, so the books are sort of divided into two categories. The first two books are rather dark, and they're historical fiction written about witch hunts. So basically how women were hunted, and when in the times when anyone could point a finger at you, call you a witch, and you would be sent to trial. And the other two books are much more light-hearted and just whimsical adventures of witches, one of them in the real world and another in alternative universe in Victorian era England. So let's start with number one. It's The Witches of Vardø. I also hope I pronounce it correctly. I'm not Norwegian, I don't speak Norwegian, so I'm not particularly sure how to pronounce that letter. I googled and I tried to make my best impression of it. So, The Witches of Vardø. It's been actually the first book in historical fiction within historical fiction books that I read about witch hunts, and it has been really impactful for me. I actually haven't read any trigger warnings before reading it, so obviously I should have expected how dark it got, and it got pretty damn dark. Basically, it was written about the times when you could be trialed for witchcraft if someone saw you simply dancing. And for example, I didn't know about that, and this book actually was gave me quite a bit of information about witch trials and how easy it was to point at just about anyone, call them a witch, and there would be trial, and how torture was used to essentially make you agree that, yeah, you're a witch because, well, it's torture, and how brutal it was. So the book is dark. Please read the trigger warnings. I suggest using Storygraph to check trigger warnings, and especially about this book, so you will be ready. And the book is set in Norway Sorry, I have to check in my blog post. In 1662, and we follow 3 points of views. We following Ingeborg, we follow Maren and Anna Rodius, and also, I hope I pronounced their names correctly. But Ingeborg's mother is charged with witchcraft and sent to the fortress at Vardø, and she is trying to rescue her mother. Maren is the daughter of a witch, and she wants to help Ingeborg, so they are going on that adventure together. And Anna Rodius is mistress of the King of Denmark, and she was sent to Vardø in disgrace. And basically, all the stories would come up or tie up together, and this book has been quite empowering for me, I have to admit. And I think the first half of the book felt rather slow. I was still interested in how things would go, but second half of the book, like when things started rolling, they started rolling. Then the next book I read was The King's Witches by Kate Foster, and it was the first book by the author for me. Right now I'm reading The Maiden, so that's the second book by the same author for me, and perhaps as you have guessed, since I'm reading the second book, I love the king's witches. It was a very interesting story, written from 3 different perspectives. One from Princess Anne of Denmark, another from Kirsten Sorensen, and who was Princess Anne of Denmark maid. I'm not sure if she was maid in waiting or just a maid. And next we have Jura, who is not connected to them in any way. And this is the story of love, friendship, duty, and honor, or at least that's how I felt. The story is set across countries of Denmark, Norway, and Scotland, and it's set in 1589, which is about 100 years, or almost 100 years before the Witches of Vardø was set. And Princess Anne of Denmark is betrothed to King James IV, I think, or no, the 6th of Scotland, sorry. And before they actually get married, Princess Anne has to pass a test, sort of a trial period of 1 year, where she has to live with King James and to prove that she can be a good queen. And for whatever reason, Kirsten Sorensen, so her maid, really wants that marriage to be a success. And, well, we don't know why, but the story just follows these 2 characters. And then we have one more character, Jura, who is in Scotland. So that's one of the perspectives we see from Scottish side, and how the story unfolds there. Jura is a maid, and she gets, well, things gets dangerous for her because she heals people and she uses charms for good luck, and those were not the times when you could do those things, or those things were seen in a good light. So that's where the story unfolds from. And the next book we have is The Very Secret Society of Witches by Sangu Mandanna. And again, this was the first book by this author for me, and now we came to the light-hearted books. So this is not dark. Although this book did make me cry in the end, I have to be honest, but in a good way, in a warm, fuzzy feeling way. And this book follows Mika Moon, who is a witch, and we are in the modern day. But normal people don't know that witches exist, so Mika has to be very careful about protecting her identity. She does have a social media account where she shares some witchy things, but she just pretends to be a witch. However, someone contacts her through that account and asks her to help with 3 young witches somewhere in a remote cottage. And, well, obviously it does sound scary, right? But Mika didn't really have much to lose, so she goes on a journey, and, well, the adventure begins there. I really enjoyed this book. To be honest, when I started reading it, and perhaps even the title, I thought that it was a book for perhaps for children or for younger audience, but within the first 5 pages, the book convinced me that no, it's for adults, and it was really, I loved it. And next, we have The League of Gentlewomen, which is by India Holton. And this book is one of the best books of the year for me. I love India Holton's writing style. This is the second book in the series of, I think the series is called Dangerous Damsels. And the first one, it's not necessary to read it, but it would help you understand the world better. Now, I understand that this book might not be for everyone because it's whimsical. It's basically, imagine pirates that instead of sailing on ships, they steal houses and they fly houses. It's very chaotic. Not a lot of things make sense, but I think it's brilliant. The writing is really funny and engaging, and it's set in Victorian era England, so alternative universe. And in this book, again, we have a society of witches, but they do not exist. And we follow Charlotte, who is a witch, of course, who is not a witch at all. And then we follow Alex O'Reilly, who is a pirate. And, well, witches and pirates hate each other, so basically they're enemies, but they do have a common goal because a certain amulet artifact was stolen and both of them want it. So they sort of team up, but, well, it's questionable how that happens exactly. But I think this was such a joyous adventure, and I would recommend if you want just something lighthearted. Also, if you like Jane Austen, I think you might enjoy this book. Just saying. But yes, so these were the 4 books or 4 witchy books I would recommend to read this autumn. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next.